There are other stories. There's the Council of State and the vote of confidence they passed on the president. We have that story there. We also have other stories we need to touch on. But let's start with this, particularly having to do with the health sector. On the front page of the Guardian newspaper, I would like to take the headline there. That has to do with insurance. It talks about the National Health Insurance Act. 2 years after, states under-enroll as 90% of Nigerians still pay out of pocket. In terms of the breakdown of figures of Nigerians covered nationwide, it's just a little over 18 million. And we have over 200 million Nigerians. That gap is so wide.
Right.
And one of the complaints raised is that some Nigerians can't even afford to pay what they should in terms of the premium on this insurance. According to stakeholders, Nigerians in the informal sector want insurance but can't afford 13,000 naira yearly fee. That's a little over 1,000 naira in a month. That is a problem that we have. But we'll tie the story also to another one. Tinubu unveils a policy to bring back 12,400 Japa doctors. And of course, he has now this policy approved the National Policy on Health Workforce Migration. It is to address the continued exodus of Nigerian doctors abroad. According to the Minister for Health, he's saying that 67% of Nigerian trained doctors are currently practicing in the UK. I'd like to start with you, Ojasope. In terms of reversing the trend of Japa, especially for our healthcare workers, 67% of trained doctors are already in the UK, besides other countries where you have other percentages there. Yeah, I heard also that in Zamfara State they have less than 50 doctors in a whole state. That's a cause for concern. Do you see this policy reversing the trend of Nigerians actually leaving, or Nigerian medical workers leaving the country for greener pastures? Ojasope.
Well, from what I've seen, I have the minister on channels, and I read briefly in the Punch newspaper this morning. I've not seen the how in the policy, that the minister and the federal government is bringing up. And in my opinion, is another audio policy, because if the nitty-gritty or modus operandi is not stated, it's just another promise in the air, just to appease our sentiment towards the government. Because there are some things that are fundamental. If you have not trained a medical doctor, as in the federal government is not directly responsible for the education of those people, to what extent can you determine if they leave the country or not?
But they are trained in the country.
They are trained in the country. On whose expense is also important. For instance, if
Okay.
Lulu, if I'm trained in a private university as a medical doctor, and I want to go to the UK,
how many are they trained in
Oh,
the private
hold
wait,
on.
wait.
That's not even true.
and I want to go to the UK or elsewhere for practice, what are the measures the federal government is going to put in place to lure me to stay? That's what I expected to see.
That's what this policy is about.
The policy is about it, but how? That's why I said, is to me the implementation is not clear.
The federal government has, highlighted some of the problems or some of the reasons why you have medical workers leaving Nigeria, like the equipment in terms of incentives. Also, you're talking about insecurity, the working conditions, the salary structure, and the likes. They're also looking at training. They're looking at also having maybe the NHS in the UK also collaborating with the government, since they're taking a vast majority of our healthcare workers to see how they can collaborate in training these workers, and they're looking at this as to reverse that trend. Do you think this will work?
I don't think so.
I need to turn to you.
I'm an incurable optimist about Nigerian projects, and I believe this will work.
About APC project,
Nigerian projects, you see, we are all Nigerians living in our country. We don't have any other country to go to. Yes, we know things are not rosy the way we want it, but we can't jump and just be pessimist at all times. We need to show kind of believe. If you believe you can do it, I believe I can fly. How Kelly. The bottom line is Professor Ali Pate is one of the best doctors we have in the country. With this concept is a way to go. And you said something. Government have actually identified, outlined the first issue in life. When you identify your problem, your challenges, then you way to go. I'm not saying government have not been failing in all sectors, promising that we are not seeing the result like refineries, but we should not be a deliberate pessimist in anything that comes out from government. That's the truth. You can't be preempting actions when it has not even been concluded. It happens in law. You can't say, oh, you are suspecting this person, we breached the contract. No, it's not tenable in law. You understand? You can't go and preempt that.
Even though there is a pattern, like you acknowledge that there is a pattern of making promises and not necessarily fulfilling it, or even making assertions that are not factual. One of such is the what's it called? The reversal of that ban on Nigerians traveling to the UAE, if I'm not mistaken. Initially,
Yes.
they confirmed that what the federal government said was not consistent with the facts. Not recently, also the president made an assertion on Sunday. That was last week Sunday. Of course, the governors came out to say that it was also consistent with the facts. The NNPCL, for instance, did say that the Port Harcourt refinery will start functioning in the early parts of August. Now we almost at the middle of August, and they're saying, they seem to be singing another song. It is not functioning. It is not coming back online right now. So there seems to be a consistent pattern of the government not actually living up to its promises.
Of course, successive government.
So should we also believe this? Isn't it
No,
only
he didn't
right?
talk about success. He talked about this
This administration. Isn't it only right for one to look at this and say, until we see it work, we will not. We'll just take it as a.
Of
a
course,
mere
I've labeled
empty
myself
words.
incurable optimist.
Okay.
I've labeled myself. I can't jump to be a pessimist like
Right.
Ojasope chose to be. For me,
I'm
until I
not,
see
I'm not a
otherwise,
pessimist.
until I see otherwise, you can't just preempt an action that has not taken place.
In terms of this policy, do you see anything in terms of the roadmap? Do you see a clear roadmap to achieving bringing back 12,400 doctors to Nigeria from the UK, for instance?
For me, I would rather implore government to work more. I've been to UCH and I see what is happening there.
Do
UCH
you
Ibadan.
see a clear-cut roadmap
Of
based on this policy they've put on ground to bring back these doctors to Nigeria?
Of course, it's in place, like a party actually outlined that they are working. Then in the next 6 months, 1 year, we now ask them, what have you been working upon? But for me, I can't just sit down here and condemn an act that has not been put into action. We are talking about NNPC. Yes, we don't see. We were here in the studio when Dave Umahi told us by September last year, Lagos Ibadan Expressway will have been concluded. I said no, the minister should not say so. Because what I'm saying, I'm not an engineer, but I knew upright that Lagos Ibadan Expressway will not be completed even by December last year. And now we are in August.
So
it's not completed.
We
lost lives. You see, you can't choose to impose your opinion on someone. I chose to be an incurable optimist about Nigerian project,
Right.
regardless of the minister or the president or the government.
At the end of the day.
Of course, because I'm a Nigerian.
All right.
I'm an optimist about Oyo State project. Either Governor Makinde performs or not, it doesn't concern me. I believe Oyo State will work someday, and it will work.
Whether it performs or not, it doesn't concern you.
Of course, we are saying that
Whether the president performs or not, you are not concerned.
you are not getting me.
I need to
The
get
message is either the president has actually fulfilled his promises
Or not.
in the last 1 year. I still believe myself. I will be an incurable optimist about Nigerian
the Nigerian
project.
project.
You
I
must
get
believe in your country. Then we now discuss otherwise.
All right.
UK citizens believe in their country.
All right.
American government, they've not been actually been failing, but in as much as they've been doing,
Lulu.
the citizens believe in their country.
I feel like asking for time. What are you contesting for?
Just a moment, gentlemen.
Funny enough, I'm not a contestant.
Hold on, gentlemen.
You are a contestant. Yeah, no.
Hold on.
Because you are sounding like somebody that is contesting.
We need to also add this side to it.
Yes.
While we've also talked about what the government has failed to fulfill
Yes.
in terms of its many assurances.
Of course.
One must also talk about what they've also fulfilled. One of such, of course, is the NEL Fund. You have 6 varsities receiving about 2.026 billion naira as tuition. So quite a lot of institutions and Nigerians, it appears, have also received their stipends to ensure that they stay in schools. But we need to open the phone lines to start taking reactions. There's still more to touch on. 0909 Turn to you on okay, real
I
quick.
don't want to sound like a pessimist on this issue.
You have always been one.
Well, I think the government just need to step up action on that road, because the portion of the road that is yet to be done is actually very, very terrible.
Yes.
It's very, very, very bad.
From Ojo back to
Yes. In fact, back to Bodija Express.
yes.
You know, and the pace of work has drastically reduced.
They are not even on the road. on the side
So
of this.
I think they just have to come back to the road. Let's leave the jumbo projects for now and fix all these small projects that have very heavy traffics.
Right. We need to move on to this one. Constitution review. The reps are moving to reduce the cost of elections. They are pushing to conduct all elections in one day. Is that the way to go? That is elections for local government areas, House of Assembly, National Assembly, state governors, presidents, all in one day. What do you make of this?
Well, we are calling for reduction in cost of governance. They are calling for reduction in election. I don't know in whose interest that is.
I mean, to have everything in one day is against,
It's realistic.
Okay.
It's not as if it's not realistic.
Mm-hmm.
But if you're going to do that manually, then it's going to be subjected to a lot of fraud and malpractices.
Oh, so. And the current process is not subjected to fraud.
No, it's going to even magnify it. That's what I'm saying.
How so?
Because when it is you're going to commit it into the hands of people. But if you're going to use technology, digital means for the election, maybe you're going to synchronize our data. We're going to use our BVN, NIN to vote, and we don't have to even come out. Then you can even do all elections in few hours. But if you're talking about the same day, IREV will fail in the middle of the night. Ballot boxes will not get to the locations. All these things are still challenges we are facing.
So they're majoring in the minor right now.
Yes, that's what I think they are doing.
You want to say something?
Yes, me, even though I don't subscribe to it, and because it's not about spending, it's about how are we spending, what are we spending upon. But as for me, digital approach is not way to go for now.
Why?
Of course, we have not reached that stage. Epileptic, of course. We are talking about voting digitally. We are talking about we are in Ibadan now. Apart from Ibadan, your state, just tell me all those local governments.
If our banking system can be digitalized successfully.
Banking system. I don't want to castigate any bank here. Sometimes you transfer money.
So for a day, the nation cannot have some dedicated network that will allow for Nigerians to vote across the country. That's what you suggested. We don't have that capacity.
Lulu, don't let us fool ourselves.
We don't have the capacity.
NCC has always been clamoring for this. Look at what is happening to our networks. Go to Buhari in Abuja. The epileptic network supply. For 2 days, I will not have network on my order. I don't want to mention their name. For 2 days.
We don't have the capacity.
Of course, I'm telling you, in Buhari in Abuja, just
reaction.
20 kilometers away from the city center.
Let's take
So
reaction.
we should not be
I'm
fooling ourselves.
optimistic on this issue.
Pessimistic about it. Good one there. Hello, good morning.